Hi again everybody, and welcome back to Dark Souls 3. Now, this isn't what we're gonna do today. This is just me grinding. Just wanna talk a bit about why I do it, I guess. Or rather, what happens to the souls that I accumulate while doing it. Because why I actually grind is to get Titanite shards to upgrade as many weapons as possible for this LP. Now in the process, if you look to the lower right, we get a shit ton of souls. I was basically listening to a podcast while doing this, and just kind of going on autopilot. I collected a ton of Titanite shards, like, when I say a ton, I mean like 30, 50 maybe, tops, I don't know. But I also got like over 200,000 souls, which at this point in the game is a lot. Now, I will use them, among other things, to buy stuff, but also to level up. This doesn't mean that we'll be overpowered. We'll be higher leveled, but not overpowered. I'll try to keep the stat distribution fairly even. And I will also, put a lot of points into stuff like Vitality. This will allow us to wear heavier armor without getting the fat roll. And since I would like to have the medium roll at all times anyway, and wouldn't go over no matter what, except to showcase the fat roll, that won't change anything except to increase our potential for fashion souls. And also the diversity of our builds, I suppose. I said at the beginning of this LP that, hey, we're gonna go down the faith route a bit, but this doesn't need to be the case necessarily. We can respec later if we want to, become really overpowered, or if we feel them too weak for some reason, which shouldn't be the case, but it might happen. But yeah, we're not locked into a faith build. In fact, we might be diverse enough to even cast magic and miracles at the same time and be very competent using melee weapons. But anyway, enough with this grinding nonsense. Let's head to the proper thing. Okay, since we have a shit ton of souls thanks to my 3-hour grinding session, there's a couple things I want to do. Or the one particular thing that I want to do. And to be on the safe side, I will buy Urea stock, or at least the parts that I'm interested in. Because, there is some stuff that's unique. And some stuff that's generally useful.
Till we meet again.
Aside from those rings, you already have everything. So next up, we'll want to go to the Firekeeper. Because we are hollow. But we do have the option to remove the Dark Sigil,
Welcome home.
which will cost us a lot. It costs us the same amount of souls that we'd need to level up 5 times. I'm not sure if it's the next 5 levels or the 5 we gain through the Yol, but doesn't matter at this point. Alright, we're not hollow anymore, which means that the Dark Sigils from our inventory are gone, as well as the hollowing that we've accrued over the time that we've, had those Dark Sigils. It's all gone. We're just completely normally human. We're still undead, don't get me wrong, but we're not hollow at all anymore. And as a result, Urea might not be too happy with us, which is why I bought all her stuff, or rather the stuff that I liked. Let's actually see what she has to say about it.
Thus forsworn the Lord's mark. There is naught more to say. Farewell, our fleeting lord.
Okay, now this might seem a bit, cruel, but we don't have any use for her anymore. So, let's fight her. I think, if at all, she's supposed to be fought a bit later into the story, because she's fairly powerful.
Where are thy wits? Take this at once. Yule knows not of thy way. A hollow need not be mad. Human soul shall ever follow us. At least thy cadaver shall a little kindling.
And the death screen isn't even long enough for her quote. Doesn't matter though. I did pick a straight sword as a weapon. In fact, it is the raw Astora straight sword, or as some people like to call it, the raw ass. It's a very powerful weapon, that way. And we're actually gonna, you know, try and kill Urea. I died a couple times to her. I didn't know that she would reappear if she kills you once, which is why I bought all her stuff. Because if you kill her, you actually do get her ashes. And it's very interesting she should mention Kath, because Kath was the primordial serpent from the first game who was on the side of humanity, as he claimed. He was found at the bottom of the abyss, I suppose, if there is such a bottom of the abyss, just lurking there and leading the dark wraiths. But, you know, Kath has been completely absent from Dark Souls 2. But now, suddenly, he's mentioned by name at least. But anyway, let's give Urea's ashes to the Shrine Handmaiden, that way she'll sell her stuff.
Gracious, passing fine ash thou hast given. And awfully warm at that. Almost as if it had lived mere moments ago. Oh, forgive an old woman's idle prate. I'm sure an ashen one such as thee would never indulge such base contrivances.
Okay, she's now selling all the stuff that Urea sold as well. And we actually also got her katana, which is invisible, which goes through shields. So yeah, that's nice, I guess. But I don't think we're able to wield it yet. We may be at some point. Hell, I might even use it, because invisible weapons are cool, I suppose. Anyway, let's actually head on to the Road of Sacrifices, because last time we just went through, well, half of it, I suppose. But this time, we're gonna actually explore the lake or swamp. I wouldn't call it a swamp necessarily, because there's no sudden drops that kill you, which is kind of what I associate with swamps, to be honest. At least that's what they taught me in elementary school about swamps. This is more like a very shallow lake. At least that's what I'm gonna call it. It is a wide open area, and it is completely optional. But there are a few rewards in there. However, there's also a lot of threats in there. Now, if you kill some of the more powerful enemies in that swamp lake thing, you also get rewards, but for the most part, it's not really worth it. You might be guessing that I'm talking about the giant crabs that we've seen last time, rather last time we went through this area. Because there's, I think 2 down here, maybe 3 tops. Can't probably remember, but I think it's just 2. But before we actually head into that swamp lake thing, which is I guess what I'm gonna call it from now on, somebody will probably correct me. Yeah, it's technically totally a swamp, but I don't care. Yeah, we're gonna go, you know, in here, because that's a completely optional part. Here's a door that only opens from one side. We could have come here later too, as a result, but why not do it now? There's no reason not to. And down those stairs, you've glimpsed a familiar face maybe, and over here we can actually see bits of the next area we're gonna explore. Well, actually not the next one. We're gonna go to the Cathedral of the Deep next. Down there is Farron Keep, which is an actual swamp, as we will see. And there's this familiar face again. I'm going to assume that you've played Dark Souls 1, or at least watched an LP of it, or at least seen promotional material for it, and you might know that this guy is a Black Knight. Now, Black Knights in the lore of Dark Souls were... well, there were Knights of Lord Gwyn, which is basically one of the major deities, possibly the highest ranking one. We killed him as the final boss of Dark Souls 1, essentially. And this is one of his knights. Now, originally Gwyn had Silver Knights, but Gwyn went to fight the Chaos Demons alongside with his loyal knights, and when fighting them, because they're all fire-based, And we actually fought one of the Chaos Demons before when we actually got helped out by Sigvard. Yeah, that was a Chaos Demon. So they're all fire-based, and they chart their armor black. And that's why those are Black Knights. They also have a chance of dropping their weapons and armor. Opposed to Dark Souls 1, those actually do respawn. I could fight him over and over and actually get his armor set, his shield, and his greatsword. Or rather, it's an ultra greatsword. The regular sized sword for them is actually a greatsword for us, so yeah, that's nice, I suppose. Anyway, time to actually head into the waters. These tiny crabs here, they're pretty much entirely harmless. They can damage you, sure, but most of the time, and I believe this is the case, they do attract these larger crabs when they die. I might be wrong with that one, just might be a range that attracts them specifically, but I think if you kill one of the smaller crabs, those get aggroed. And those big ones, they're kind of, I don't want to say hard to fight. Just going by intuition, it's best to actually stay behind them. However, since they go sideways most of the time, staying in front of one is also a pretty good option, I think. I haven't tried it, to be honest, but it seems like a good idea. Something worth trying the next time I actually face one of those guys. But obviously, behind them is the safest spot that I can think of. But it is pretty difficult to actually do get behind them. And obviously take a lot of hits because they're giant armored animals. Insects even. Hell no, they have 8 legs. They're arachnids. I guess, at least. But if you attack them enough, they go into kind of this prone position and you can visceral attack them. And as a reward, we get the Great Swamp Ring. That ring is actually really nice if you're using Pyromancy because it increases the power of Pyromancies. And since we do have our Pyromancy hand equipped, why not use it? It might not even hurt, because, you know, the Bloodbite ring that we have on right now, or the Fireplate ring, they're not gonna be of much use to us at this point, so we can swap one of them out. In case you want to use Pyromancy. Yeah, this is just one of those things that we can find here. There's actually some more valuable stuff here too, like right here. This is possibly the best thing that you can find in the swamp. Aside from maybe a shield that's a bit more near the shore, you can basically just pick it up, you know, by running down from the shore, pick it up and, you know, get back out. But anyway, this is a Pyromancy tome we just picked up. Allows us to learn new Pyromancies. We'll give it to Cornix, you know, next time we actually get a chance. And over there is another crab. That crab will not actually give us something extra if we kill it. So you might just, you know, skip it entirely. It is quite powerful, and it can do that. Yeah. I'm not a fan of those crabs, to be honest. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind, I briefly mentioned it when we went through this area for the first time, but you might be tempted to lure it on land, because it doesn't actually go on land. You might be tempted to cheese it from there by shooting arrows or something, I don't know. It doesn't work. If you step on land, the crab might take a few hits before it actually, you know, escapes, but it'll burrow down into the ground, and once it re-emerges, it'll be healed completely, so all your efforts will be for naught, and the crab will kill you again. And as you can see here, it grabs me a couple more times, but it is not an insta-kill, thankfully. It does do a ton of damage though, like all the grabs in this game. In Dark Souls 1 and 2, you could just mash the shoulder buttons to escape from one of those grabs, but it doesn't seem to work here. It doesn't even shorten the duration of it. I might be wrong, maybe I'm not mashing hard enough, who knows. And that little piece of land over there is a bit that we haven't explored yet. However, there is also something on the shore that we've already, you know, that we've come from basically. where we can find stuff that we have not picked up yet. In fact, there's even a part of those ruins that we haven't accessed yet. Just a small part though, really small part, just one room pretty much. We're gonna do that now. Oh, hold on, 2 rooms actually. There's that one. This entrance here. And if you load the crap here, you can actually cheese it, by the way. It will not burrow, because you're technically still in water. I've done that like the first time I actually found one of those crabs, because they scared the shit out of me. They are really freaky enemies, not necessarily something I'd expect out of a Souls game, though at this point I really should expect anything. And the Sage's Ring actually does increase the casting speed of whatever, you know, magic you cast, so it's really nice to have as a spellcaster, whether it's Miracle, Sorcery, Pyromancy, or what have you. Well, those are the 3 that exist. And this is the one room I mentioned, the one that, you know, we haven't seen yet. There really isn't much inside it, to be honest. But you can go through here. In fact, the first time I went through this area, I did go through here. And I completely missed the Crystal Sage, and I did not go to the Cathedral of the Deep that lies behind the Crystal Sage until way later into the game, when the game made me go there for progression reasons. The game seemed awfully linear to me, and it is, but it has a few branches. Ouch. I was wondering where that guy is, because normally he stands up there on the top of the stairs and fires down, but it didn't seem to be there when I went into that room at first. And just to show it real quick, this is the part with the crystal lizard. I actually don't think we've been here technically, but up here is that part where we entered the ruins from, where we went across the bridge. It's a guy who ambushed us. And up there would be... actually let's go up there. Because that sorcerer guy who called us an idiot with... well, honestly very subtle words. He's still there, and we're now smarter, so he might like us more.
Well, well. There's something different about you, isn't there? Very well. Indeed, I am a sorcerer, with plenty to share. However, what champion demands service without recompense? Clearly, you're not that sort of man. So you will make me a promise that in exchange for my teaching, you will bring me knowledge in the form of scrolls detailing sorcery's secrets. Well, can you assure me of this? Very well. You're no fool. I take it you understand the weight of a promise. I am Orbeck, of Vinheim, unkindled one. I shall teach you sorceries. We will learn together. It shall be like our very own school.
Okay, first things first, again. Just always gotta do that. Anyway, now, Orbeck is now in Firelink Shrine. The thing is, if we actually kill 4 bosses, he will disappear. Either that, or if we kill the boss of Farron Keep, he will also disappear if we do that, so... it's best to find scrolls, at least one scroll before that. Because if we find at least one scroll, he won't leave, he'll stay in Firelink Shrine forever. So it's not like we're screwed at any point in this game. And now we are actually on this other side of the shore. We could have gone here through the water as well. But going up there, you know, gives you a bit of an extra item, I suppose. There's something of a... let's just call it a mini-boss fight, I suppose. The path onwards here is guarded by 2, well, NPCs. They don't have any particular name as far as I'm aware. One of them I call Giant Club Guy, the other one I call Curved Greatsword Guy. They're both opponents that you should not underestimate at the very least. But on the upside, they don't use shields, so they don't block, so you can actually just attack them and deal damage no matter what. But there is some amount of hyper armor to their attacks, so it's best to be careful. Again, don't underestimate them. But if you can catch them while they're not swinging and they don't have hyper armor up, it shouldn't be much of a problem. Because they will be stun locked more or less. They are, after all, just normal NPCs. And oh, he does have a shield, but he normally doesn't really use it. It is one of those super mean parrying shields too. Wow, who would have thought? As I said, don't underestimate them. Now, thankfully, I said there's two. You can separate them fairly easily by just shooting an arrow or something. But once you get too close, you'll have to fight both of them. It doesn't necessarily make the fight harder, but just a bit more tedious, because you'll be forced to kite them around a bit and then attack them as opportunities arise, I guess. It's not too interesting. It was one of my biggest complaints about Dark Souls 2. But it's not a problem here. The other guy is a bit easier to defeat as well, because he does less damage. He still has a big weapon and hits hard, but he does less damage. And as a result, he is probably the easier opponent. Though, if you look at his moveset, which you could also have if you got his weapon, which you will get after killing him, you could be just like him. Not that you'd need to. I personally don't really like the curved greatswords weapons, but I'll be showing them off. Come on, die already. There, okay. So this is the quote-unquote mini-boss that guards the path onward. And now we're pretty much done for the day. Just some tidying up left to do. Down here we can see the area that we can access from that ladder we just ran past. It is Farron Keep. As I said, it is actually one of those poison swamps. In the same vein as Blighttown or the Valley of Defilement. Which most people hate, but I like those areas. Maybe I'm just a sick person, who knows. But anyway, we're not gonna go there next time. Next time we're gonna go to the Cathedral of the Deep. So, see ya then.